Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So let's start our first chapter with Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Here is your chapter 1 of Introduction to Electronics. So you can find my notes inside the website. So please, the link is in the Google Classroom. So I'll upload the notes accordingly. So today will be chapter 1, lecture 1, Introduction to Electronics. Okay. So now first, what is the difference between electronic and electrical device? What is the example of electrical device? What do you think? So if you see around your house, we have a lamp, iron, a fan, vacuum or blender. So this is what we call electrical device. Electrical device, because why we call this one electrical device? It will only convert one energy to another energy. It will not do extra thing. So let's say your lamp here, it will convert the electrical energy to the heat energy. Your fan here, electrical to the kinetic energy. So it will not do extra things. How about the electronic device here? So it will convert the energy to something useful. You got extra information here, right? From your camera, from your laptop, from your printer, from your iPad. So there is some extra info here, some processor inside. So this is what we call electronic device. Okay, so inside your electronic device, we have one example here. There is diode. What is the function of diode? I believe this is not your first time to heard about this diode. So the function of diode is to allow the current to flow in how many directions? In only one direction. Can the current flow here? No, it only can flow from point 1 to point 2. So this is a negative. If you see there is some line here, here is positive. So it only can flow from positive to negative. It cannot flow the other way. So this is what we call diode. Okay. Okay, next, the second device is bipolar junction transistor. So what is bipolar junction transistor? It is actually a transistor. What is the function of transistor? It is work as an amplifier. So let's say you have a small signal, you are going to amplify the signal. So who can do that? Transistor can amplify your signal, the sine wave signal, the AC signal. So there are two types of transistor. One is what we call BJT, another one what we call FET. So there are main different things between these two. You will learn further inside electronics. For BJT, you have 3 pin here, emitter, base, collector. And for your FET here, we have what we call source, gate and drain. Okay, so just now we learned about what is the difference between electrical and electronic device. How about inside the we have two parts. One is the passive, one is active. What is the difference between these two? So for passive component, you have it means here you do not require any power supply for you to operate the component. So example of the passive component is resistor, capacitor and inductor, the one that you learn inside electric circuit, right? But for your active component, you need power supply. Why you need power supply? To turn on the component, to turn on. Do you think your transistor is active or passive? So as shown here, transistor is an active component. How about your diode? Yes, diode is also active component. So the main thing that you're going to learn inside electronic is active device. There is BJT, FET and diode. You need power supply. So do you need DC supply or AC supply? You need DC supply to turn on your electronic component. Okay. So it's shown here, the left here is passive device, the override here is active device. So the one that I'm going to focus here is IC. What is IC? IC is the integrated circuit. Inside the IC there are billions of transistors. So they'll be packaging the transistors, so it will be what we call integrated circuit. Okay, so next, Now, just now you learned about what is passive, what is active, right? So, what is electronic circuits then? So, electronic circuit is contains what? Contains both passive and active. So, where is the passive? Passive, do you need power supply? No. But active, you need power supply, right? So, you need DC or AC. You need DC supply to turn on your active. So, where is DC supply here? Here. Why you need DC supply here? You need to turn on the active component. What is the active component in this circuit? Is your amplifier. What is actually inside your amplifier is your transistor, either this BJT or field effect transistor. So what will it amplify? It will amplify the source from your microphone. So your source from microphone is not the DC, it's AC source. Then it will go to the amplifier. When the DC supply turn on the amplifier, it will start to amplify the signal. So you can get a higher amplitude. That's why you have the speaker there. It amplifies the sound. So electronic circuit need two. One is a DC supply to turn on your amplifier. One is AC supply to amplify the signal. Okay, next, after you learn about passive and active, and second one is electronic circuits, and the third one we see how you're going to represent the AC and DC. So this is important for you to use this one throughout the electronic circuit. So it is matter, either it is capital or small letter. Okay, so let's see here. Which one is DC supply? If we're talking about DC, all must be capital letter. Let's say this is a current, all must be capital I, capital B, capital, and Q, capital. If it is AC supply, everything must be small. So this is AC. AC supply, let's say this is a current, I small, B small. What is this? This is total. The total signal, the total is equal to DC plus AC. That's why if I write here IBQ plus IB. So your total will be small I but capital B and capital Q. Same here, small v, capital B and capital E. Okay. Now how you represent this one inside the graph? So DC means it will not rely on time, right? So this one is your DC supply. And how about your AC? So your AC supply will have a sine wave here or a cosine. So we have here amplitude. So here is your amplitude, Vm. There is a sine or cosine, and then you have the omega t plus the phase, lagging or leading. Okay, I believe that you have learned this one inside your electric circuits, right? So this is a representation of the AC and DC signal. Okay, so now let's go next. The last one of the slide for today. So this is the summary. So if you know for your AC, it will be all small. For your DC, will be all capital. Total will be small v, capital B and capital E. You're going to use this throughout your electronic analysis. So let's stop now. This is the first half of the chapter. We'll continue on the next video. Assalamualaikum.